Good night, moon. Finish. And the red balloon.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, lamp.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, car. Something. Every moon.
Okay.
Always a moon.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, rabbit.
Good night.
Good night, watch.
Good night. Okay.
Car. Good night, sauce.
Good night.
Good night, bear. Sitting on chair.
Okay. Next page. Or good night.
Good night, clock.
Good. Here.
And some of the room.
Okay. Wait.
Of their
Bear were three little bears.
sitting on chairs. Good night, socks. And get meetings. Good night, old lady. And what? And full of much. And be quiet. So already much. And red doom. It was the phone. And red balloon. And video of full of mats and comb and brush and full of mats. And full is of mats is a lamp. Good night, full of mats and comb and brush.
Good night.
Good night, lamp.
Good night.
And good night, sauce.
Good night.
Good night, window.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, chair.
Bear.
Yes.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, cook.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, mittens. Good night, socks. Good night, moon. Good night, rabbit. Good night, cat. Good night, cooks. Good night, Jaja. Good night, Jaja. Good night, Ayanos. Good night, Tom. Good night, full of rats. Good night, lamp. Good night, home. Good night, and what? Good night, sauce. Good night, ears. Good night, noses. Everywhere. Then eggs.
Thank you.